All right, time to dive into Carmine Gallo's 5 stars.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, everyone's got big plans, big ideas,
Mhm.
and this book, it's packed, like really packed
Yeah.
with secrets to persuasive communication. Right?
Absolutely.
So we're not just going to summarize it.
Right.
We're growing deep, pulling out those aha moments,
Yeah.
you know, those takeaways to make your ideas stick.
I love it.
Whether you're pitching a project
Right.
or just like, you know, want to get your point across,
Yeah,
but with more impact.
for sure. What I find really cool about 5 stars
Mhm.
is how it blends like this classic communication wisdom
Yeah.
with brain science.
Mm.
You know, it's not just about sounding persuasive.
Right.
It's about how our brains are wired to be convinced.
Yeah, it's like hacking the code.
Yeah, exactly.
And Gallo, he starts with this whole storytelling thing, but not just any story, right?
Yeah.
He says we're hardwired for them. It's how our brains make sense of the world. I mean, he even talks about, have you heard of this? Neural coupling.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating.
Tell me about it.
So neuroscientist Yuri Hassan at Princeton,
Okay.
he found that when someone's really engaged in a story,
Mm-hmm.
their brain activity, it actually starts mirroring the storytellers.
Wow.
Like their brains sync up.
Whoa. It's like their minds are literally on the same wavelength.
Exactly. It's incredible.
I mean, think about, like, when you're really into a movie,
Right.
you're probably experiencing neural coupling without realizing it.
Yeah.
But now that we know this,
Yeah.
imagine, like, using that
Yeah.
power,
Harnessing it.
to get your ideas across.
Mhm.
And Gallo uses this great example from Nike.
Okay.
You know their iconic waffle sole?
Of course. Who doesn't?
Right. Okay, so get this.
Yeah.
The inspiration for the design,
Yeah.
it came from a waffle iron.
Oh, wow.
Talk about finding brilliance in unexpected places.
That's so cool. Yeah, it reminds me of that saying, creativity is just connecting the dots,
That's a good one.
right? But I think the real takeaway here
Yeah.
is to stay open to inspiration from, like, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
What seemingly unrelated experience could spark an idea for your project.
Yeah. Love that.
Be open,
And Gallo doesn't just say, tell a story.
right?
He dives into this thing called the signature story.
Okay, yeah.
And he uses Stag's Leap wine cellars. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I have.
They're a great example, right?
Absolutely.
So back in 76, they were the ultimate underdogs,
Right.
going up against like these big French wineries
Yeah.
in a blind tasting, right?
Wow.
And nobody thought a California wine had a chance.
I see.
But guess what?
What?
Stag's Leap won.
No way.
Yeah. They crushed it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Proving that quality can come from the most unexpected places.
So true.
And you know what's really smart?
Right.
They still use that victory in their story today.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's how you make a lasting impact.
That's smart.
But Gallo, he doesn't just leave us hanging with a story.
Yeah.
He tells us why it works.
Okay.
He says it's not just the underdog thing.
Right.
It's how they frame their entire brand around this one moment of triumph.
I get it.
The story, it says so much about their quality and their boldness.
Absolutely.
So what can you, as a listener, learn from them?
Yeah.
How can you use storytelling to not just, be entertaining,
Right.
but to reinforce your message
Right.
and your values?
It makes you think.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of captivating stories, Gallo then dives into analogy.
Okay.
And he says it's not just a literary device,
Yeah.
He says it's fundamental to how we think, how we communicate.
Interesting.
It is. And he starts with this, like, hilarious story about this little kid trying to, like, undress a banana.
Undress a banana.
I know, right? But she didn't know the word peel yet.
Oh, I see.
So her brain just connected it to, something familiar,
Gotcha.
like taking clothes off a doll.
That's so cute.
I know, it's adorable. But it proves this point, right?
Okay.
That we're hardwired for analogies.
Yeah.
We learn new things by relating them to what we already know.
It's like those aha moments.
Exactly.
When a tough idea suddenly makes sense because you connect it to something you already get.
For sure.
And this isn't just for, kids and banana.
No, definitely not.
Gallo brings in Reid Hoffman,
Oh, okay.
the LinkedIn guy,
Right.
to show us how powerful this can be.
Yeah.
So picture this. You're pitching a revolutionary idea,
Okay.
like LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
To investors. How do you make them get it?
Yeah, how do you make them understand?
But not just get it,
Yeah,
but be excited about it.
right.
So what did Hoffman do?
What do you do?
He used a simple but genius analogy.
But
Instead of getting lost in all the tech stuff, He used something investors knew.
What was it?
The shift from directories, like think Yellow Pages, right?
Yellow Pages, got it.
To the power of networks,
Okay.
like the internet.
Right, right.
So smart. He connected LinkedIn to something familiar.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a job site. It was
Yeah.
the future of networking, but in a digital world.
I see.
It's brilliant, right?
That's really clever. And you know what's cool? This isn't just for like tech startups.
Right.
This analogy thing, it works for anyone.
Yeah.
Right? If you want your ideas to land, you know,
Absolutely.
whether you're leading a team,
Yeah.
presenting a project.
Yeah, or just like convincing your family to, I don't know,
Right, exactly.
go on that
Yeah,
vacation.
we've all been there.
We've all been there. But speaking of brilliant ideas,
Okay.
Gallo, he talks about how Steve Jobs was like a master of analogy.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't just use it to explain his products.
Right.
He used it to invent them. He was always like looking at other fields.
Yeah.
Art, music,
Yeah.
even calligraphy, which is kind of wild
Yeah.
when you think about it.
It is pretty amazing.
It is.
Jobs famously said,
Yeah.
good artists copy, great artists steal.
Right.
And before you think, like, he's advocating plagiarism.
Yeah.
He's really talking about being inspired by the greats
Okay.
and then, like, taking their ideas even further.
Gotcha.
Analogy was key for that.
It reminds me of that Picasso quote,
Which one?
every child is an artist.
Yeah.
The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up.
I love that one.
Right?
It's so true.
And Jobs, he never lost that. He was always looking for those connections.
He was. And it's like, remember how into calligraphy he was?
Right.
That passion, it fueled the Max typography.
It's amazing. Who knew calligraphy class could lead to a tech revolution?
Right. It's incredible.
So it's not just stories and analogies in the book.
Okay.
Gallo also gets into conciseness, especially in this world where we're like drowning in information.
Yeah, totally.
And he uses a great example, Captain Sullenberger.
Oh, wow.
Remember how we talked about his calmness
Yeah.
during the Miracle on the Hudson?
Right.
Well, Gallo focuses on how brief he was in those crazy moments.
Okay.
Just 3 words. Brace for impact.
Wow.
Clear, concise, unforgettable.
Yeah. Powerful.
And probably save lives, right?
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. Gallo says this matters every day,
Mm-hmm.
not just in emergencies,
Okay.
especially in presentations.
Right.
He talks about training military officers at the U.S. Naval War College, no less.
Wow.
And they had to take these complex military strategies
Yeah.
and condense them, get this, into a 10-minute presentation.
10 minutes. That's intense.
I know.
Wow.
So Gallo asked why the tight time limit,
Okay.
and their answer was fascinating.
What'd they say?
The generals, they are bombarded with information all day long.
Oh, I bet.
They don't have time for fluff.
Right. They need it quick.
Exactly.
So get to the point.
Key takeaways, fast. It's about respecting people's time.
So true.
It's not just being polite.
Right. It's about being heard.
Exactly. Love it. It reminds me of that quote, I would have written a shorter letter,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the time.
Right. Being concise takes work.
It does. But Gallo, he gives us a framework, right?
Okay.
He talks about sick care.
Sick care.
Yeah, it's used in top hospitals, Geisinger, UCLA.
Okay.
It stands for connect, introduce, communicate, ask, respond, and exit.
Okay. I see. It's like a process.
It is. But I know what you're thinking.
What?
It sounds a bit robotic, maybe.
Yeah, a little.
But it's not about the script, right?
Right.
It's about the empathy, the
Okay.
genuine care in your interactions.
I got it.
Like, Gallo talks about David Feinberg.
Okay.
He was CEO of UCLA Health.
Right.
He implemented this whole sick care thing. And it just clicked for me when Feinberg said this.
What'd he say?
It's not about the steps themselves.
Right.
It's about the mindset.
I see.
Creating a culture where everyone feels seen and heard.
That makes sense.
Right. And valued.
Yeah.
And when you think about it,
Yeah.
isn't that what good communication is all about?
It really is. Making people feel like they matter.
Yes. But Gallo doesn't just talk about individual communication.
Okay.
He also looks at how leaders use stories
Okay.
to build trust on a bigger scale.
Right.
And he talks about the CME group.
Okay. Yeah.
They're like this global financial marketplace.
Right.
And they were having this crisis.
Okay.
People didn't trust each other. Nobody felt connected
Right. Right.
to their work.
Wow.
So they tried logic and data at first.
Right. You know, the facts.
Right, like here are the numbers, but it wasn't working.
Okay.
People felt disconnected.
They knew the what, but not the why.
Exactly. They didn't feel it.
Yeah.
So the leadership, they did something radical.
What'd they do?
They started telling stories.
Okay.
Personal stories.
Like anecdotes?
Yeah. But about how the company's work
Yeah.
impacted real people's lives.
Wow.
Suddenly, it wasn't numbers.
Right.
It was really people, real stories.
Yeah.
They created a shared purpose.
That's powerful.
It's like those ideas that ripple around the world that Gallo talks about, like TED Talks.
Right.
Those are like idea-spreading machines.
Yeah, they are.
And they often follow the same pattern.
Do they?
Yeah. Have you noticed?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It's all about stories.
Yeah. TED speakers are amazing
Yeah.
at taking, like, these big, complex ideas and making them relatable.
Yeah.
Just by using stories.
They do, and they're engaging, you know.
It's like a universal language.
It is. It's the human experience.
Exactly.
Gallo actually analyzed the top 25 most viewed TED Talks.
Oh, that's cool.
And they all have this one thing in common.
Okay, I'm curious. What is it?
They all promise to teach you something new.
Oh, wow.
That element of surprise, that
Yeah.
discovery, that's what keeps people hooked.
That's true.
Even though we have, like, all the information in the world at our fingertips,
Yeah,
we still want that new knowledge, but in a way that's exciting.
absolutely.
But Gallo doesn't stop there.
Okay.
He goes deeper, looking at how Steve Jobs used language.
Okay.
He talks about Jobs' mastery of what he calls smart words.
Smart words.
Yeah, they're those words that are simple,
Okay.
but really powerful, you know?
Yeah.
They make even those complex ideas click.
Right. Can you think of an example?
Oh, totally.
Okay, what is it?
The computer is a bicycle for our minds.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Right.
It's so simple, but it makes you think.
It's brilliant. It
Yeah.
captures, like, the essence of personal computing.
Exactly. And it's just a few words.
It's amazing, right?
It is.
But it's not just Jobs.
Okay.
Gallo talks about Warren Buffett.
Oh.
You know, one of the greatest investors ever.
Yeah, of course.
He says he got his communication style
Yeah.
from, wait for it,
Okay.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah. Really? That's unexpected.
I know, right? Who would have thought?
What's the connection?
Buffett was really moved by Dr. King's way with words,
Oh, okay.
especially how he blended logic and emotion
Interesting.
and vivid imagery.
Right.
It's a good reminder that great communicators, they learn from other great communicators.
You do, yeah. They study the masters.
They do.
That's a great takeaway.
It is. And speaking of masters,
Yeah.
we've talked stories, conciseness, smart words.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to analogies.
Okay.
Gallo argues it's at the core
Yeah.
of how we think, how we learn.
Right.
He even quotes Douglas Hofstadter, the cognitive scientist,
Yep.
who said that analogy is the fabric of our mental life.
It's so true. I mean, we're always
Yeah.
looking for patterns,
Right.
making connections. We try to understand the new by relating it back to what we know.
Right.
An analogy, that's the key.
It's amazing how we use analogies all the time without even realizing it.
I know, right?
Like we say clear as day or slow as a snail.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are analogies right there.
They are.
Making things vivid.
Totally. And Gallo, he gives this hilarious example
Yeah.
about Douglas Hofstadter's daughter
Okay.
trying to undress a banana.
Undress a banana. I love it.
Right. But she didn't know the word peel.
I see.
So her brain just made a connection
Right.
to undressing a doll.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It is, but it shows you.
Hearts.
Our brains are wired for this. We use analogy to understand.
So it's not just cute kid stuff.
No, not at all.
Gallo takes it to, like, the boardroom.
Okay.
Shows us how analogy is a game changer in business.
Oh, I like this.
He talks about Reid Hoffman.
The LinkedIn guy.
Yeah, LinkedIn. During his big pitch to investors.
Right, when it mattered.
Exactly. How did he use analogy? Remind me.
So instead of all the technical jargon,
Right.
he talked about the shift from directories like the Yellow Pages to the power of networks.
Gotcha. Like the internet.
Yeah, exactly. It was already happening.
He tapped into something they knew.
It wasn't just a website. It was the future of connection.
So smart.
Right.
But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay, what is it?
Analogy isn't just for tech.
Oh, okay.
Gallo uses an example from religion.
Religion. Okay, I'm
He
intrigued.
talks about Pope Francis,
Okay.
who's known for, like, his communication style.
Right.
He uses analogies to explain these complex ideas.
Makes sense. Religion can be pretty abstract sometimes.
Totally. So what does he do?
He uses really down-to-earth comparisons.
Okay. Like what? Give me an example.
He once compared the church to a field hospital.
A field hospital.
Yeah, a place that welcomes everyone,
Oh, I see.
no matter their wounds.
That's powerful.
Right. Take something maybe distant.
Yeah, or intimidating.
Exactly, and makes it relatable.
It's about that emotional connection.
For sure.
Speaking of connection,
Yeah.
I love how Gallo goes even further with Steve Jobs.
Okay.
He says Jobs used analogy not just to explain,
Right.
but to invent.
Wow. To come up with the ideas in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jobs got inspiration from everywhere.
Like what?
Art, music, even calligraphy.
Really?
Yeah, he'd immerse himself in it all.
That's cool.
He famously said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal."
I've heard that one.
But he didn't mean plagiarism.
Right.
He meant finding inspiration in different fields
Okay.
and combining those ideas in new ways.
So it's about making those connections.
Yes, it's like creativity is just connecting the dots.
That's a good one.
Right. And Jobs was a master dot connector.
He was. He saw things others didn't.
Exactly. Gallo talks about how Jobs' love of calligraphy
Oh, yeah.
actually influenced the Mac's typography.
Get out. Really?
Yeah, apparently he took a calligraphy class in college,
Okay.
and he was just blown away by the letters.
Interesting.
Years later, working on the Mac,
Yeah.
it hit him.
Yeah.
He could bring those same principles.
Wow. To the computer interface.
Crazy, right? A calligraphy class, and then boom, the Mac.
That's wild.
It
It shows you the power of analogy, though.
really does. You see the world differently.
Exactly. And you make these connections you'd
Right.
never see otherwise.
And the best part is, it's a skill. We can all get better at it.
We can.
Oh!
What do we do?
Gallo says, start paying attention
Okay.
to the analogies you hear every day.
Okay, yeah.
In conversations, books, movies, everywhere.
Right. Be more aware.
Yeah, you never know where that spark will come from.
I love that.
So we've covered a lot. The power of stories,
Hmm.
concise communication, smart words,
Right.
and the spark of analogy. It's been amazing.
It really has.
But there's one last piece to Gallo's 5 stars.
Okay, what's that?
The courage to find your voice.
Yeah. Because what good is a brilliant idea
Right.
if you're too afraid to share it?
Exactly. Gallo says everyone feels fear.
Even like the pros.
Even the pros. He talks about Jo Malone again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Early on, people told her she'd never amount to anything
Really? Wow.
because of her dyslexia.
Oh, wow. That's awful.
I know, right? But she didn't listen.
Good for her.
It's a good reminder, right? We all have something unique to offer.
We do. Every single one of us.
But how do you get over that fear?
Yeah, especially when the pressure's on.
Right. Any advice from Gallo?
He talks about this neuroscientist, Shian Bailock.
Okay.
She studies how our brains deal with pressure.
Interesting.
One of her techniques is called reappraisal.
Reappraisal. What's that?
It's about changing how you think about a stressful situation.
Okay, so instead of I'm going to bomb this.
Right,
You
exactly.
think this is my chance.
Yes.
To share my passion, make a difference.
You reframe those thoughts.
It's like a mental pep talk.
It is. And Bailock's research shows it really works.
Wow, so we can train our brains.
Yeah, to handle that pressure.
So it's not just about surviving those high-pressure moments.
Right.
It's about owning them.
Yes, exactly. And Gallo also talks about practice.
Oh, right. Practice makes perfect, but not just any practice, right?
Not just going through the motions. Practice under pressure.
So if you have a big presentation,
Okay.
don't just practice alone.
Right.
Get some people together.
Yeah. Make it real.
Feel those butterflies, you know?
Exactly. The more you do it,
Yeah.
the more ready you'll be when it counts.
Love it. So we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Already. It flew by.
I know, right? 5 stars. What a book.
So good.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is this.
Yeah.
Being persuasive, it's not some gift you're born with.
Right.
It's a skill. You can learn it. Anyone can.
I love that. It just takes effort.
Exactly. And like Gallo says, find your story.
Find your story, yeah. What's your big idea? Share it.
Share it with the world.
And share it with 5 stars.